Palm Beach County, let's do it. I got an anthem for us.
This that, pull up to the hood, feeling all good shit. Getting to the money, know you looking good shit.
Right? So that's the only time you will ever hear me say be a follower, because it's something I had to learn. You always can't just come in thinking you know everything. It's always good to learn. Learning is a part of the process every single day. I learn to this day. I learn something new every single day. I promise you that. You'll never figure it out. All right? You'll never figure out everything that is. You gonna learn one thing today, get good at that, and tomorrow you'll learn something else. I promise you that. That's a part of life. That's what life is all about. That's what makes life worth living. That's what makes life fun. You know what I mean? Enjoy this process, y'all. Don't take it serious, but don't be robots, and enjoy it, laugh, have fun, joke. You know what I mean? Spend time with friends, just being normal teenagers. You know what I mean? You don't get I'm telling you, it goes by quick. All right. So let's see. Get back to my story. So I went to Palm Beach Gardens High School. Well, I went to Bel Air Middle School. Graduated from there. Then I started high school in let me backtrack. Let me tell y'all. I'm not gonna tell y'all all the good stuff because I did have some trials and tribulations. So in elementary school, like I said, before I found sports, I was a troubled kid. Like I said, I grew up in a rough area and was always fighting and giving my mom's issues. I hated school. Didn't always want to be there, so on and so forth. Was always playing victim because I didn't have my dad, so on and so forth, right? But what I quickly learned, as a kid in elementary school, is like you got to learn how to just keep going through adversity. You got to learn how to continue to grow and be a better person through adversity. So I went to 4 different elementary schools. Yeah, I got kicked out of one of them for just being angry, throwing chairs and not getting my way, just being that angry person that you don't want to be. That never works out well for you. Then so I went to another elementary school. Greater Bethel was called at the time. It's called Orange and Healing now. That's when they were whooping kids back then. So yeah, you got in trouble there, you was getting whooped from a teacher or the principal or whoever. But you was gonna get that power. Then from there I learned, all right, maybe I do need to straighten up and fly right. So I went to another elementary school, Timber Trace up in Gardens. Did pretty well there, but then I still wanted to be a class clown and not really do much. Then my last elementary school, Seminole Trails, where I finally got it together, because that's where I found sports. That's when I realized, like, okay, I'm kind of good at football. Okay, I'm kind of good at basketball. Okay, I'm kind of good at baseball. I'm kind of fast. I can run. So then, that's when I started. My mom got me into recreational sports and started I started building those connections and learning, who I was as an athlete. And then learning who I was as an athlete helped me figure out who I was as a person. Right? So then I knew, okay, I got to do well in school if I want to participate in sports, because that go hand in hand, as y'all know, right? You can't do one without the other. You just can't, until you become a pro. Then you can just focus on your sport, but that's a long way away, right? So, once I figured that out, man, I'll say, okay, I got to get my grades. Whether, I wasn't really trying to get no 3.8s and 9s and 4.0s. I was just trying to do well enough to get my grade. So I could play. But what I realized as I got older is the harder you work in school, that translates into sports, and then that translates into the rest of your life, right? So the reason why you have that grading scale is because you want to achieve the highest you could possibly achieve, because that means you're putting in the work, right? Just like when your point average, when you're scoring, right? You want to score as many points as you can per game, because that means you're putting in the work and practice. You're putting in the time, right? So how many of us in here won't want to average 20 points a game? Exactly, right? But the kind of work you got to put in to be able to do that. So, the kind of confidence you got to have to be able to do that. So that's what I'm saying. Like it go hand in hand. That's what GPA is about. That's what that's why they keep stats and stuff like that, so you can measure how well your hard work that you're putting in, how well you're doing with it, right? So now I go to middle school, Bear Lakes. Like I said, play basketball. Do well in middle school. I do pretty good in middle school because I was pretty excited to be a part of the basketball team. I was 6th grader, I'm like 4 foot nothing, and I'm walking around with a big old book bag, but I'm on, they call me out of class early for a game. You feel like you're the man. So that was a pretty cool experience for me, and I said, I like this, man. I'm gonna keep doing my work. So So now I go to I start school go to high school, Palm Beach Lakes High School. I played football, basketball, track, and then so I started realizing like, hey man, I'm kind of really good in football. I'm pretty good in basketball, but I'm not growing. So I got to make a decision. Didn't think I was, a 5'9" guard was gonna make it to the NBA, and I knew I wanted to go pro in something. So I had to make a decision. I had to say, hey man, either I'm gonna stick to football or I'm gonna stick to basketball and pray that I grow. Or I knew I didn't want to run track. I hated track. I hated track. Track is painful, but it made me better for football. So I decided to stick to football. So my 10th grade year, I stopped playing basketball. I kept running track even though it hurt real bad, but it helped me in football. So I really, really locked in on football. And I knew from, ever since I was a kid, I knew I wanted to go pro or something. But football, as I got older, I started like really excelling, scoring, two touchdowns a game. It was, football became real easy to me, you know what I mean? So I realized that in 10th grade, like that's my sport.
And I love my hood. Yeah. From the beginning in my hood, I ain't have much, but I learned the code, you gotta keep that thing tough. Dope boys on there.